Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I kind of just wanted to talk about my experience getting an IUD because I got one on Wednesday, and I just wanted to kind of share the information because I think with the recent election that a lot of girls are thinking about getting, or anybody who needs one, getting an IUD to protect themselves because they do last for several years, which is much longer than other birth controls. So just a disclaimer, I'm going to be talking about my experience with the IUD, and if you don't want to know about that, I'm going to explain in detail, so if you're offended by that, if you don't want to know about it, if it makes you uncomfortable, you can click away now. So IUD stands for It stands for intrauterine device. There are, I think, 5 different kinds available in the US, and they all kind of do something a little bit different. There's the Mirena, Liletta, Skyla, Kylena, and the Paragard. I guess the first 4 that I mentioned are all hormonal, and then the Paragard is the copper one, and that is a non-hormonal IUD, and so the first 5 will probably make your periods lighter or go away completely, and the Paragard will not affect it, but some women have reported heavier periods on the Paragard. For all the research that I did, I will put links down below where I got all this information. So basically, if you get a hormonal IUD, it slowly sort of releases a synthetic hormone called progestin, and what this does is it thickens the cervical mucus, which makes it so sperm can't get there. Depending on what kind you get, they can usually last from 3 to 6 years, a hormonal one, and if you get the Paragard, the non-hormonal IUD, that can actually last up to 12 years, which is crazy. For protection, I feel like that's really cool. So basically, I'll tell y'all a little bit about the kind of birth control that I had before and why I decided to get an IUD. I have been on the birth control shot called the Depo pretty much since I became sexually active. That's when I decided to get that kind of birth control. I've always had really terrible periods, and so I had been thinking about it already for a while, and so I decided to go ahead and get the Depo, and I think that would have been like mid-2014. I was like a junior in high school, and the shot is hormonal as well. You get it every 3 months. You have to go and get a prescription, then you go make an appointment with your doctor, and they give it to you. And it's either in your hips, like on the back of your hips above your butt, or in either arm. So I was good with that. Like, I've been getting it from my university doctor in the last year or whatever, and then I just saw everything that was kind of going on with the election, and I just did a little bit of research about IUDs, and I thought that it would just be a better idea for me. Like, it's just like with an IUD, since they last so long, you don't have to worry about anything. You're just protected, and the IUD is a little bit more effective in protecting you against pregnancy. It's just a little bit more effective than the shot. So it's like less than 1 in 100 women will get pregnant with an IUD. I just thought it would be a good time to try it out considering the election and everything, and then I did research. You know, I thought it seems like a scary thing to have something kind of like put up into your uterus. Once I did a little research, I felt a little bit better about it, so I decided to try and get the IUD. And also, something to think about is that it is normally covered by your insurance because it's a lot cheaper for your insurance to pay for an IUD over the long term than to keep getting the pill or shots or whatever it is that your birth control is right now. So my insurance covered my entire appointment. The IUD that I decided to get is the Mirena. It is hormonal. The Depo shot took my periods away completely, and I liked that because I had really bad periods and really bad cramps, just really heavy periods, and so I wanted to kind of also have that still. So I decided to get the Mirena, which is it's a common one. You can take a look down below at the links, and they'll give you like the breakdown for each one. Some of them are a bit cheaper, some of them have less hormones. You want to look and see what's best for you. So like after just looking at everything, I decided to get the Mirena because it has pretty much the same hormones as a shot. The only difference is on the shot you can gain weight, and I did, and on the Mirena there's no side effect of gaining weight. Now I'll kind of go into what it was like going in and getting the IUD. So I decided to go with Planned Parenthood. Normally I would go to the doctor at my university, but they don't do IUD procedures there, so I decided to go with Planned Parenthood New Orleans. I couldn't really find like a doctor here in my network, so I decided to go to Planned Parenthood. It was good. Like I called and they didn't have an available appointment for like almost a month, so I called in November and I went last Wednesday on December 14th, and I went in, and they basically, it's like I like the experience a lot. They kind of like are very just nice. Like they just pay attention to things. Like for example, like when they're trying to ask you for information about things, like they have a little laminated sheet of paper and it says like, you know, like identify your sex and gender and everything, and they have like a good list of genders on there, and she's like, you can either point or say it out loud, whatever you're more comfortable with. You know what I mean? And so I just felt like I just feel like it's really considerate. You know, if you know anything about Planned Parenthood, they're very like LGBT friendly. I actually saw a couple guys in there too, so it was just like a good place, and it was like a really nice facility. I might insert some pictures for y'all to see. Hey, I'm back. Sorry about the lighting change. I basically had to charge my camera battery and it took like an hour. Well, it's not even fully charged, so I'm gonna try to get through this video. And I believe, well, and the sun is like doing weird things, so I apologize for that, but hopefully y'all still can get whatever you need from this video with the weird lighting and everything. I think I left off talking about my appointment and everything. So I basically went in. It's kind of like a regular doctor's office. You fill out some paperwork and stuff with your information, emergency contact, etc. And then while I waited, they gave me some papers to look at that basically gave me the information that I did the research on. So they do give you all that information at Planned Parenthood, which is really good. And I think it's good, especially for people who may not know what kind of birth control they want to get going into the appointment. For me, I already was set on IUD, so I knew what I was going to get and everything like that. So basically, I was just waiting. I did have to take a pregnancy test, just like any other form of really hormonal birth control. They usually do make you take a pregnancy test just because it would be really bad for the baby if you had, you know, like a birth control method being used while you were pregnant. So they'd make sure that I wasn't pregnant. So you just pee in a cup, and then in this one they had like a little like thing in the wall where you can just put the cup. So that was good. I was kind of used to that, but it's not that big of a deal. And then when I went in for my appointment, they basically, kind of like a regular doctor's office, they ask you a few questions about your family's medical history, blood pressure, that kind of thing, diabetes, heart disease. They ask you about all that kind of thing. And then basically, if you've ever been to like a regular gynecologist appointment, it's kind of like that, where the doctor or the nurse, whomever was asking the questions, leaves the room, lets you get undressed, you just take your pants off, and then they give you like a little, like a paper type thing to just like cover your lap. When the doctor is ready, they come in, and then she had me put my feet in the little, or are they called, stirrups? I'm not sure. You put them and it like spreads your legs apart. They're like, you put your heels in them. And she just looked, you know, she like pressed down on my uterus to see which way it was turned, and then it was actually a pretty quick process. She told me everything that was gonna happen before it did. It was painful. It wasn't excruciating. I think the biggest thing is just the discomfort. It's a very discomforting kind of pain. Like, it's just like, ooh, it doesn't feel right type of thing. It's not like, ooh, I'm being like cut or something like that. And she told me everything that was gonna go on. She kind of measured to see like how deep my cervix went and everything like that, and then it was pretty quick. She told me that it was going to feel like a really big pinch, and that's what it felt like. It did hurt a lot. I did have to like squeeze a thing, but it only lasted a few seconds. And like the thing that like kept me going was just like I'm like, childbirth would probably be a lot more painful than this. So, you know, it's just like kind of worth it, you know what I mean? There was a lot of bleeding, so she kind of like put some stuff on there to help the bleeding kind of stop. And it was just like, when I got off, it kind of like looked like a crime scene. Like, there was a lot of blood. I guess I'm just like a bleeder. I don't know. But also kind of, they say that one of the side effects is like definitely spotting afterwards. So I am experiencing a little bit of spotting. So I guess that will lead us into how I felt afterwards. So after the appointment, I did have to go back to work. I had about 3 hours left of work. Basically what it was is like, what I would guess is that however you experience period cramps, that's kind of what you're gonna feel, because that's essentially what it is when you're being caused to bleed. I had really bad period cramps, so basically that I had spasming pain that would come on and off, you know, every few minutes, you know, and I would have to kind of readjust to be comfortable. I was just like wishing I had a heating pad or something, but I got through it. It wasn't the worst thing in the world or anything like that. Totally worth it still. But yeah, I did have a lot of cramping. I still am experiencing cramping, and now it is Friday, and I got my IUD on Wednesday. So it kind of has slowly is getting to where there's more time in between the spasming sort of cramping feeling. And basically, like, after work, what we did is Zach and I just went to Walgreens and I got a hot water bottle. I don't know if y'all can see. And you just fill this up with hot water, and I just put it on my stomach, on my lower belly. And it really helped to just kind of like soothe the pain. And then I also got Midol. And those things have been helping me kind of get through it. And then just like drinking a lot of water. Like with my periods also, like I have like really bad like my stomach gets upset, so I am experiencing a little bit of that as well. Yeah, that's kind of like what the aftercare is looking like. I did have to wear a pad, I think, for the first day because there was bleeding throughout the day. But it's nothing like as heavy as my periods were. It's kind of subsided at this point to where I don't really have to wear one at all. I mean, I think I might make an update video if y'all want. Oh, the only other thing is I did there is a string that hangs down with the IUD, and you can kind of feel it poking you. I just basically readjusted it myself, and so I can't feel it anymore. That was just like on the first day, and then I looked it up and they're like, oh, you just move it yourself. I was like, okay. And so I did, and it's fine now. And I think, well, and I also think, the cramping is slowly going away. It's totally normal to cramp a little bit after, and that's one of the side effects of it. And yeah, the only thing I'm really hoping, which I don't know yet what will happen, is if like my period comes back, because I was off birth control completely for a month between like when I got the shot, had to get came in for the appointment because it was a month later, and I didn't have my period come back, so I'm hoping my period won't come back. So maybe that's what I'll talk about in the next video, like my experience with that, because I did have really bad periods before, and that's one of the things I loved about being on the shot, is just like no periods, literally no periods at all. And so that was kind of the best part. But I think that's all I need to share with y'all. If you have any questions about the IUD, I'll leave it down below. I'll leave sources and links down below to where I got all my information before I decided to get one. I just think it's a really good birth control option because, you know, it's just like, you don't have to think about it. It's a great option. You just go in, you have the appointment, it hurts a little bit, it's not really the worst thing in the world, and then you're just like set for several years most of the time at least. So I think it's just extremely convenient. If y'all have any questions, just leave them down below, or, you know, DM me on one of my social media, which will be linked. I'll have all the sources linked down below. And I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will see you in the next one.